G'day headbangers and welcome to Dozel Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow metalheads to another edition of Dozel Metalworks. Got an interesting one this week, boys and girls. I've called it Returned. Now this is going to be part one because there might be a few parts of this one. I'm calling it Returned. It's because artists in rock and metal bands who have left at some point and have returned later on. Now it doesn't matter why they left, whether it's by their own means or they got the arse or whatever, but they have returned at a later date. Let's get started, shall we? We'll start off, of course, with Bruce Dickinson, who left Iron Maiden after the Fear of the Dark album and then returned in 99 and then was back for their album Brave New World. So 2 albums without him and then he returned. But Bruce still does his solo stuff, of course, as well. Next one, again, Adrian Smith left Iron Maiden after Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and returned with Bruce Dickinson for when they did Brave New World. So yeah, return of the Maiden lads. And then of course, you know, X Factor and Virtual 11 didn't get the best reception when it was released. But as soon as Bruce and Adrian came back, Brave New World was an absolute banger of an album. So yeah. Next we have Mr. Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Yes, Robbo left the band after Painkiller. He basically did a Bruce, you know, left. 2 albums after that weren't widely received quite well, even though I do like both of those albums with Tim the Ripper Owens in it. And then he came back, and the album he came back with, I can't remember the name of the album off the top of my head, but yeah, did an absolute cracker there. Next we have Matt Barlow of Iced Earth. This one's interesting as well because Matt Barlow went up to a certain album. I can't remember what album he left after. And again, he was filled in by Tim the Ripper Owens again. That guy just loves popping up for 2 albums per band. And then Matt came back. Then Ripper left. But from what I gathered, Matt only came back for 1 more album, if I'm correct, and then he left again. Then I think they got a guy called Stu Block, who's a freaking great vocalist as well. So, yeah, that was interesting. Next we have David Lee Roth from Van Halen. That's right, he got the arse after the 1984 album and then got replaced by Sammy Hagar. And of course Roth was replaced. Hagar was with a whole bunch of albums with them as well. And then Hagar left. I think he did Human's Being as a separate track for the Van Halen Best Of and the Twister soundtrack. But then David Lee Roth came back to do a couple of extra tracks for that Best Of album, plus the final Van Halen album after that, which had Wolfgang Van Halen in it. So yeah. And he's still sorted with the band, even though Van Halen broke up. And if they have a reunion show, there's always, because the guy was apparently a bit of a dick, so whether or not they get him back or not for a tribute show, we don't know, but there you go. Next we have Mr. Vince Neil of Motley Crue. Now, again, I can't remember what album he left after, but then I do know that the album he wasn't on was Motley Crue's self-titled album. Then that guy lasted 1 album. Then, buggered him off as well. And Vince came back. So, yeah, oh well. Next one is Alex Skolnick from Testament. He was the guitarist from Testament from way back when. Left after a certain album. Not for a huge amount of time from what I gather. And then he came back and been with them ever since. And he's still kicking ass and taking names. So, yeah. Next one. We have the great man himself, Ozzy Osbourne. Now, he was with Black Sabbath. They gave him the arse because from it was his addiction problems and stuff. And then he came back later on. And yeah, the tickets went on sale for the Black Sabbath thing during the week. Sold out in 15 minutes. People are bitching them on the left, right, centre. I went, well, that's what you get, you know. Hopefully Sharon will do what's right and release it on DVD and do a pay-per-view release as well, because they'll get all the money, that's for sure. Now, the next one we have Mr. Mike Howe from Metal Church. He joined them, I can't remember when he joined them, but he did the 3 albums, Blessing in Disguise, The Human Factor, and Hanging in the Balance. And then I think it was after Hanging in the Balance he left the band. And then years later he came back, and he kept going with the band until he passed away a few years ago, which is a great loss to the metal world, because he's still bringing out bangers. Now, rounding off this list is a more recent one, actually. Mr. Mike Portnoy, aka the Octopus, as I like to call him, from Dream Theater. Yes, he left Dream Theater after whatever album, I can't remember, and was replaced by Mike Mangini. And of course, he still did all with the solo project like Sons of Apollo, Winery Dogs, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he just recently came back and yeah, released a new album. Now speaking of Dream Theater and their new album, that's right. The next part of this video will be a CD review for Dream Theater's new album, Parasomnia. Now, I must say, boys and girls, the first 2 tracks I'd seen as singles were pretty good. And it seems to be a recurring thing with a certain rock and metal bands. When a certain artist within the band leaves, the sound can deteriorate or it stays the same or whatever. But when certain artists come back to the band, that first album back usually turns out to be an absolute banger. And this is, my friends, is no exception. Within the first week or so of me having this album, I've listened to it 3 times all the way through. It's a freaking, oh my god, my ears are orgasming everywhere, seriously, it's freaking brilliant. So anyway, the tracks are as follows. In the Arms of Morpheus, which is a opening instrumental track, which is really, really good. Night Terror, which they released as a single and video clip included. That's a really, really good song as well. Broken Man's pretty good. My favourite song though, so far, is Dead Asleep. It's, the riff and the chunkiness in this is brilliant. Midnight Messiah, also a song that releases a single and a video clip, another great track. Bend the Clock is pretty good. Just before Bend the Clock, they have this spoken musical little weird thing which goes for about 30 seconds or so. It's called Are We Dreaming? That probably doesn't even class as a track. Bend the Clock's okay. Probably my least liked track on the album, even though it is still good. And then it follows off by their longest song called The Shadow Man Incident, which is a really good track as well. Now, the album was released on February 7th, 2025. 8 tracks, and it goes for a total of 1 hour of 11 minutes. That, my friends, is 1 hour, 11 minutes of pure love by Dream Theater. Like I said, Portnoy came back and just knocked it out of the park. Seriously, Fat Cracker Whip, Sucker the Sausage, you know, whatever you want. It's freaking brilliant. So, yeah. Now, just before we leave, I'd like to send a shout out to a couple of friends, saying well done, to a degree, to my friend Delika and my work colleague Davo. Of course, the main shout out goes to a well done to the Philadelphia Eagles winning this year's Super Bowl. Very well done, boys. And yes, and also a big shout out to that member of the Philadelphia Eagles, to Jordan Malata, who is none other than an Aussie. I went, cracker, perler, rip snorter, or as Steve Irwin used to say, crikey. But yeah, as again, well done, guys. Anyone to beat the Chiefs will make me happy. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Cough! Anyway, boys and girls, That's this week's edition of Does the Metalworks. And until next time, mosh on.